I used to think silence meant peace. Now I know it can hide a lifetime of noise. The morning light spills across my apartment floor, soft, golden, almost forgiving. I'm sitting by the window, my coffee growing cold beside me, when my phone starts to buzz on the marble counter. The screen flashes an unfamiliar number, but the area code, it's from my hometown. My stomach knots before I even pick it up. I know that area code. I know what it carries. Miss Brooks? This is Dr. Larson from St. Mary's Hospital. The voice is gentle, but it's the kind that delivers news, the kind that rearranges your heartbeat. He says a name I haven't heard in years. My father's. For a moment, everything inside me freezes. The hum of the city fades. The world narrows to the sound of his voice and the weight of what's next. He says my father's condition is critical. He says there's not much time. He asks if I can come. My fingers trace the rim of my coffee cup, the same way they used to trace the bruise on my temple that night. The night my father snapped. The night he grabbed my hair, slammed me to the floor, and changed everything. I closed my eyes. I thought that chapter was buried, sealed, done. But it seems the past never forgets your name. It just waits for the right doctor to call. Soft pause, emotional beat. And now, I have to decide if I'm ready to face him again. I was 17 the night it happened. The air inside our house felt thick, like it always did before my father exploded. You could taste tension before you heard it. Mom was gone by then, working late shifts at the diner. She used to stand between us like a wall, but that wall had been gone for months. And without her, there was no stopping him. I remember standing in the kitchen, the cheap fluorescent light humming above, my acceptance letter trembling in my hand. It was from a college 2 states away. My escape plan printed in black ink. He came in smelling of whiskey and motor oil, his boots heavy on the linoleum. "What's that?" he asked. "College letter," I said quietly. "I got in." He stared for a moment, then laughed. That low, cruel laugh that made my stomach twist. "College? Who's paying for that, huh? You think you're too good for this house." I wanted to tell him no, that I just wanted to breathe. But the words got stuck, caught somewhere between fear and hope. When I didn't answer fast enough, his face changed. His voice rose, sharp, bitter, spitting out every failure he'd ever blamed on me, on Mom, on the world. I turned to leave. And that's when he grabbed me. His fist tangled in my hair so fast, I didn't even have time to scream. The pain ripped through my scalp, sudden, white-hot, and then my body hit the floor. Hard. The sound echoed. My own breath sounded strange in my chest, shallow, panicked. I remember the smell of dust, the sting of tears, and his voice, distant now, but still full of rage. "You'll never make it without me, Haley." That was the last thing he said before I scrambled out the door, barefoot, shaking, half blind from tears. Outside, the night was freezing, the sky wide and black. I ran until my lungs burned. I didn't take clothes or money or even my phone. Just one thing, the silver locket around my neck. It had been my mom's. Inside, a tiny note in her handwriting. "Don't let pain define your worth." I clutched it so hard the edges cut into my palm. And that's how I left home, bleeding, terrified, but finally free. Beat, calm exhale. I thought I'd never see him again. And for a long time, I didn't. Soft, thoughtful tone, like flipping through the old pages of her own life. The first night after I left home, I slept in the back of a bus station. The tile floor was cold, and every sound made me flinch. Footsteps, laughter, even the hiss of a vending machine. I remember tracing the shape of my locket under my shirt, whispering to myself, "Don't let pain define your worth." I didn't have a plan, just a name of a shelter a teacher once mentioned. It was there that I met Mrs. Ellison. She was the kind of woman who could read your story without you saying a word. She didn't ask about the bruises or the split lip. She just said, "You're safe now, honey." But safety isn't the end. It's the beginning. She helped me enroll in a community college, got me a part-time job at a coffee shop, and gave me my first real lesson in survival. Show up, even when it hurts. And God, did it hurt. Balancing classes, rent, and shifts that ended past midnight, it nearly broke me. I burned my fingers on espresso machines, cried in bathroom stalls, studied under flickering lights until dawn. But every time I thought about giving up, I'd hear his voice, my father's, echoing. You'll never make it without me. So I made that my fuel. Every cup I poured, every dollar I saved, every test I aced, it was me proving him wrong, one quiet victory at a time. When I finally got my degree, I didn't invite anyone to the ceremony. I just stood in my thrift store heels, cap crooked on my head, and smiled for a photo I never posted. It wasn't pride I felt, it was peace. The kind that comes when you build yourself from the ground up, without applause. After college, I moved to the city. I started small, freelance work, late nights designing marketing campaigns for tiny startups. Most clients didn't even know my name, they just saw results. Then came Elena Torres, the creative director of a major firm who saw my portfolio and said, "You've got something rare, Haley. You don't design for attention. You design for emotion." She became my mentor, my compass. The kind of woman who replaced fear with focus. With her guidance, I built my own agency, quietly, deliberately. We worked out of a one-bedroom apartment at first. Then came bigger contracts, offices, employees. I never told anyone back home. No posts, no bragging. Just silence. The good kind this time. I learned how to wear confidence like perfume, subtle, lingering. I learned to walk into meetings like I belonged there, even if a part of me still felt 17. And with every success, I touched the locket beneath my blouse, a silent reminder of who I used to be and the girl who refused to stay broken. Beat. Proud exhale. I built a life my father would never believe. And maybe that was the point. The drive back to my hometown felt like a time machine I never wanted to board. Every mile took me closer to the place I swore I'd never see again. The chipped fences, the hollowed gas station, the small-town silence that always felt like judgment. St. Mary's Hospital sat on the edge of town, pale and quiet against the overcast sky. I parked, checked my reflection in the rearview mirror. Dark green blouse, hair in a sleek twist, gold earrings catching the light. I looked composed. But under the surface, my heart trembled like that 17-year-old girl again. When I walked through the automatic doors, I expected anger, guilt, maybe even hatred. What I didn't expect was pity. My father looked smaller than I remembered. Thinner. His hair had gone gray, his face hollowed by years that apparently weren't kind to him. The strong man who once towered over me now lay beneath a pale blue hospital sheet, tubes running from his arm, monitors beeping like a mechanical heartbeat. He opened his eyes when I entered. For a second, neither of us spoke. The air between us was heavy, crowded with memories neither of us wanted to unpack. "Haley," his voice cracked. "You came." I didn't answer right away. I just set my purse down, smoothing the cuff of my sleeve, the faint click of my bracelet filling the silence. "I almost didn't," I said finally, but the doctor called. He gave a small nod, eyes flickering away. Shame looked strange on him, fragile, human. My stepmother was there too, sitting in the corner with folded arms and guilt written all over her face. My younger brother, Dylan, hovered by the doorway, older now, but still with that same nervous energy. They had no idea who I'd become. To them, I was still the runaway girl with bruises and a stubborn streak. Then Dylan asked, "Where have you been all these years, Haley? What did you even do?" I smiled, a slow, calm smile. "I worked. I built something." He frowned. "Like a job?" I gestured toward my phone. "You've probably seen my firm's ads. Brooks Creative Agency. We just signed a national campaign last month." Their faces froze, disbelief mixing with confusion. My stepmother's mouth opened slightly, like she wanted to say something, but didn't know where to start. "You own that?" she whispered. "Yes." Then I turned back to my father. "I built it from nothing. From the floor you slammed me onto." The words slipped out quieter than I intended, not vengeful, just honest. He flinched like they'd struck harder than a slap. "I was angry," he muttered. "I was drunk. You are cruel, I said, cutting in softly. And I carried that cruelty for years. But I also turned it into something. You told me I'd never make it without you. And maybe you were right. Maybe I needed your doubt to learn what I was capable of. Tears filled his eyes, surprising both of us. His hand trembled as he reached for mine, but I didn't move closer. Not yet. I'm proud of you, he whispered. I nodded slowly. I didn't come for your pride. I came for closure. For a moment, the only sound was the monitor's slow, steady beep. Then I spoke again, quieter now. I forgive you, I said. Not because you deserve it, but because I deserve peace. He broke then, shoulders shaking, sobs catching in his chest. My stepmother looked away, wiping her face. Dylan just stared at me like he'd never seen me before. When I stood to leave, I glanced around the sterile room, the faded curtain, the dying flowers, the hum of machines. It was strange, standing there. The girl he broke, now a woman he couldn't break again. As I turned toward the door, I felt something loosen inside me. For years, I'd carried the weight of that night like armor. Now, for the first time, I didn't need it. Pause, soft, final line of section. He taught me pain, but life taught me power. The next morning, I sat in the hospital cafeteria, hands wrapped around a paper cup of black coffee. Outside, rain tapped against the window, slow, rhythmic, cleansing. That's when Dylan walked in. He looked hesitant, older now but still carrying that boyish uncertainty. He sat across from me, eyes darting between my face and the untouched muffin in front of him. Dad wants to see you again, he said. I nodded slowly. I'll go. But before that, we need to talk. He waited, nervous. I'm not here to fix anyone, I said softly. But if I help, it'll be under my terms. Dylan frowned. Terms? Yes. I leaned forward. If I'm paying for Dad's treatment, and I will, then things have to change. For all of us. He stared, confused but listening. First, I said, you need to finish school. Not because it looks good, but because you deserve a life that's yours, not a repeat of his. He blinked, surprised. I dropped out last year. Then go back, I said gently. I'll cover the tuition. But only if you stay clean, focused, and out of bars. You've got too much of him in you, and you get to choose what you keep. Dylan swallowed hard, eyes glassy. Okay, he whispered. Second, I continued, if I pay for Dad's medical care, he goes to therapy. No excuses. No disappearing into denial. He hesitated. He won't like that. I smiled faintly. He doesn't have to like it. He just has to do it. We sat in silence for a moment, the hum of vending machines filling the space. Finally, I added, and you, Dylan, you'll go too. Not because you're broken, but because you deserve to heal from the same home that broke me. His expression softened, a mix of shame and gratitude. I didn't protect you that night, he said quietly. I heard it happen. I was too scared. I reached across the table, touched his hand lightly. You were a kid, I said. We both were. But we don't have to stay those scared kids anymore. Beat, soft music tone shift. When I went back to my father's room later, he looked smaller than before, but calmer. Maybe my words had sunk in. Maybe he just saw the woman I'd become and finally understood what his anger had cost him. I stood by his bed, the rain whispering outside. I'm going to help you, I told him. But here's how it works. You'll get treatment. You'll go to therapy. You'll tell the truth when they ask what happened that night. And you'll never raise your voice at anyone again. He stared up at me, weak, tearful. You sound like your mother, he said. I take that as a compliment, I replied. Then I reached into my purse, pulled out the old locket. This kept me alive, I said softly. Mom's words. Don't let pain define your worth. I'm finally learning what she meant. He looked at it, at me, and nodded slowly. I'm sorry, Haley. I know, I whispered. But sorry isn't where it ends. Change is. Pause, her tone soft but commanding. For the first time, I wasn't the daughter begging for love. I was the woman setting the rules. and it felt good. 3 months later, I stood outside St. Mary's again. The winter air was sharp, the kind that makes you breathe slower, think deeper. My father didn't make it. The treatments came too late. But in his final days, the nurse said he never stopped talking about me, about the daughter he broke and the woman she became. He'd started therapy, too. Said it was the first time he'd spoken about that night out loud. When I walked into his empty room, sunlight poured across the bed, gentle, golden, quiet. On the nightstand sat one thing, my mother's locket, the one I'd shown him. He must have asked the nurse to leave it for me. I picked it up, the metal warm against my palm, and opened it. Inside, the same faded note. Don't let pain define your worth. But now, the words felt different, not like a plea, but a truth I had lived into. Soft pause, inhale. Dylan kept his promise. He re-enrolled in college, sends me updates once a week. He's seeing a counselor. Sometimes, he calls just to ask how I'm doing, like a real brother, not a ghost from the same broken house. As for me, I'm finally allowing myself to slow down, to enjoy the silence that isn't heavy anymore. I still run my agency, still lead meetings and pitch campaigns, but now I make time to breathe, to walk by the water, to paint, to live. Healing isn't loud. It's not fireworks or forgiveness speeches. It's quiet mornings when you realize the anger isn't the first thing you feel anymore. Beat, softer. Sometimes, I catch my reflection in the mirror, hair pulled back, scar faint under the makeup, and I see her, that 17-year-old girl on the floor. But she's not crying anymore. She's standing beside me. She survived. And because of her, I'm standing here, not as someone defined by pain, but someone refined by it. I close the locket and whisper the same words I've carried for years, not to my father, but to myself. He broke me once. But the woman I became after, no one can break her again. Pause, emotional beat, slow breath out. And maybe that's what healing really is. Not erasing what happened, but learning to rise so beautifully that even the past can't bear to hurt you anymore. Final fade outline, cinematic whisper. Sometimes the call that reopens your wounds is the same one that proves you've healed.